November 5th, 2024.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
Donald Trump won the election. He formally became the new president of the United States, but how would you react if I told you that even though he is president, he does not control America at all? For hundreds of years, the power dynamics in America followed a predictable pattern. Industrialists like Vanderbilt and Rockefeller held power through oil, steel, and railroads. Politicians rose through party machinery, and newspaper and television moguls owned the media. Power was divided among a few institutions, with well-defined lines between business, government, and information. The American oligarchy operates differently today. It's a mechanism of government designed to perpetuate the political and economic influence of the wealthy by engaging the rest of the population on their behalf. But unlike the oil tycoons of the past, today's tech moguls control the very infrastructure of modern life: how we connect, spend, work, and think. The venerable Big Five technology firms, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, and Amazon, have built an unrivaled degree of concentration of power. Apple controls the smartphone universe that billions of people inhabit every day.
You got to start doing it over here, and you really have. I mean, you've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim. Apple.
Microsoft manages the software infrastructure of governments and corporations.
Microsoft has secured a $10 billion contract with the U.S. Defense Department to supply technology to the military over the next 10 years.
Google processes 8.5 billion searches per day, essentially controlling the human knowledge.
Google is accused of monopolizing the internet search market, sidelining competitors, and harming consumers.
Meta shapes social interactions for 3.8 billion people on the planet.
The Federal Trade Commission's antitrust suit against the tech giant. Now, the FTC argues that Meta engaged in an illegal buy or bury strategy to maintain its dominance on social media.
Amazon is the logistical nervous system of world trade.
The federal government has struck a $2 billion deal with Amazon to create a top-secret cloud to protect the nation's most sensitive defense and security data.
But among these powerful people, there's one joker who stands above them all.
I know, I love the president.
I love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, you know,
It's nice the way he said that, you know? There's something nice about it.
SpaceX was valued at $350 billion in December 2024, and the federal government has invested $20 billion in contracts with SpaceX. With Tesla, SpaceX, X, and XAI, Musk has built a portfolio ranging from electric vehicles to space exploration, social networking, and artificial intelligence. Together, these tech giants control over $20 trillion in market capitalization, almost more than the GDP of the United States. Yet, market capitalization only tells half the story. The oligarchy's accumulated wealth, sheer volume, and access to a bunch of resources allows them to create campaigns of political influence on an unprecedented scale. They've turned money into political influence through a brilliant system of lobbying, campaign contributions, regulatory capture, and media dominance that would make the robber barons of the Gilded Age green with envy. And to govern a nation and the minds of the masses, you must control the sources of information and what people hear on a daily basis. In 2024 alone, tech giants spent a record $61.5 million on federal lobbying, hiring one lobbyist for every 2 members of Congress. Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft, ByteDance, X, and Snap have joined forces to flood Washington with influence peddlers. To put that in context, Amazon and Apple broke their own personal lobbying records in 2022, and the Big Five collectively spent nearly $69 million that year. Direct lobbying barely scratches the surface. They channel millions in additional funds through industry trade associations and coordinated campaigns, bringing total lobbying in the tech industry to $85.6 million in 2024, a 25% increase from last year. This allows tech giants to project a unified political front while maintaining a convincing denial of detailed positions. The revolving door of Silicon Valley and Washington is a superhighway of corruption. Amazon alone has hired at least 247 former U.S. government officials, creating a web of influence that permeates every layer of the federal bureaucracy. Google's made 28 deals involving positions in national security, intelligence, or the Department of Defense. 7 former national security officials and 18 Pentagon officials have joined Google, and 3 Google executives have joined the Department of Defense. Big tech companies have collectively hired a total of about 360 former Justice Department employees, and the Justice Department has hired 41 former employees of big tech companies. About 3/4 of Google and Meta's lobbyists in Europe are former EU government officials. The influence extends to think tanks and political science research institutes. Tech companies pour millions into academic centers, policy groups, and research institutes that produce studies that support their positions on antitrust, privacy, and regulation. These seemingly impartial voices flood policy debates with industry-friendly research, creating a resonance that stifles critical perspectives. And of course, how can we not mention the main mouthpiece of these companies? Well, politicians. Political contributions are another avenue for projecting influence. While individual contribution limits limit direct donations, tech leaders and their companies are finding creative ways to help friendly politicians through so-called PACs, or political action committees, super PACs, and crowdfunding networks. They buy into entire ecosystems within politics, not just individual politicians. The result is a high-level influence machine operating simultaneously across multiple channels. As Congress makes specific decisions about technology regulation, in-house lobbyists, industry trade associations, think tank intellectuals, former colleagues, now employed by tech companies, and campaign staffers all send the same message from different directions directly to a single hub. The hub being the minds of consumers and citizens. It's a vast machine with a simple mission: to control public opinion. Behind the staggering lobbying figures and revolving door statistics are individual influence peddlers who have turned Silicon Valley wealth into record political influence. Elon Musk has perhaps undergone the most dramatic transformation from businessman to political influencer.
Yes! This is what victory feels like. Yeah!
His acquisition of Twitter for $44 billion in 2022 put him squarely at the helm of one of the most influential information platforms in the world, instantly reshaping political discourse. Musk has received over $20 billion in government contracts for SpaceX, making it indispensable to the U.S. space program and national security complex. So, we must be aware that until 60-70 years ago, access to space was exclusively available to state-owned companies, and those were national projects. Today, the situation is different. Today, access to space can also have private entities. His companies have been involved in thousands of battles with the FAA, EPA, and SEC, but they've always used his public platform and government weaknesses to fight regulation. When the Federal Aviation Administration halted SpaceX launches, Musk mobilized his 233 million X followers to pressure regulators, demonstrating the ability of tech billionaires to use their platforms against government agencies. And alongside Musk, there is another key player, the man behind the world's largest trading empire. Jeff Bezos wields power through another, but no less potent, combination of media control and government dependence. He's entered the heart of American political reporting with his 2013 purchase of The Washington Post for $250 million, and Amazon Web Services have become the backbone of federal government operations through contracts worth more than $10 billion a year. The CIA's $600 million contract with Bezos' cloud company was a playbook conflict of interest for the tech oligarchy, make the government so dependent on the services of the oligarchy that any form of regulation is practically impossible. When the Pentagon originally awarded Microsoft a $10 billion cloud contract over Amazon, Bezos outsmarted them in court and forced the government to split the contract among multiple vendors. And besides Musk and Bezos, there's another key figure, the owner of the networks we all use.
We've seen the apology tours before.
Your user agreement sucks.
The 2 days of congressional hearings called as a result of that controversial Cambridge Analytica data breach.
Is Facebook keeping track of your phone calls and your text messages?
Many now questioning whether their information is truly safe on the social network.
Mark Zuckerberg has transformed Meta into a global political force through shrewd campaign spending and content control tactics that dictate democratic discourse. The owner of Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Threads, Messenger, and many other digital services contributed over $400 million to a specific election campaign in 2020 through the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, drawing sharp criticism and accusations of partisan interference. Meta's content control decisions effectively determine what the 3.8 billion human beings on the planet can see, talk about, and think about, carefully controlling the algorithm and the content that will be placed before the audience, all of which makes Zuckerberg the most powerful unelected man in the world's political scene. His call for regulation of the metaverse, more precisely application under the umbrella of Meta, i.e., Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, positions Meta to shape new technologies and determine the regulatory framework that will control them. And next to these three stands a man holding a forbidden fruit from the Garden of Eden.
It's an honor to be here. We're seeing the beginning of a very powerful, important plant, and anybody that follows my campaign, I would always talk about Apple, that I want to see Apple building plants in the United States.
Tim Cook has made Apple an indispensable partner for both Chinese economic interests and American national security, creating a new kind of geopolitical leverage. His highly publicized 2016 battle with the FBI over iPhone encryption transformed Apple into a champion of privacy rights while demonstrating the company's power to resist federal law enforcement. Cook's skillful handling of US-China tensions, maintaining Apple's vast Chinese manufacturing apparatus while fending off congressional criticism, has influenced U.S. trade policy and encouraged policymakers to consider Apple's interests when making diplomatic decisions between the U.S. and China. We often talk about the burning of Library of Alexandria when we consider the greatest catastrophes to human knowledge and human history, but today we have infinitely more information at our disposal, and it's also managed by one man.
We support federal privacy legislation and proposed a legislative framework for privacy earlier this year. Users look to us to provide accurate, trusted information, and we work hard to ensure the integrity of our products.
Sundar Pichai controls arguably the largest information apparatus in human history thanks to Google's monopoly on search and the YouTube video platform where you're watching our content right now. With over 8.5 billion searches that Google processes, not annually, not monthly, but daily. Pichai's group has unprecedented power over what information people are allowed to see and how they experience current events. The company's ongoing antitrust battles with the Department of Justice pose a direct challenge to government authorities, with Google assembling armies of lawyers and lobbyists to fend off attempts to break up their influence over the world's information flow. Pichai's influence on the development of artificial intelligence through Google's advanced research departments puts him in a position to shape AI regulations before competitors are in a position to disrupt Google's dominance. In addition to all these figures, we have Satya Nadella, who has quietly made Microsoft the federal government's most important technology partner through billions of dollars in AI collaborations and cloud computing deals. Azure, Microsoft's cloud platform, stores sensitive government data, and Microsoft's AI products are integrated into defense and intelligence systems. Nadella's strategy is to become as integral to government operations as possible rather than fighting public battles, effectively making Microsoft resistant to regulation by building dependency. These figures shape politics and public discourse in ways far deeper than the traditional archaic lobbying. Their websites dictate information to billions of users and have become the guardians of modern political discourse. They practically know your physiological profile, habits, tendencies, and life preferences through your use of their sites and services. Google's search algorithms determine which news sources people see, and Meta's content moderation policies determine which political views can and cannot be shared. Twitter's, or rather X's, trending topics and recommendation algorithms can make or break political movements through algorithmic changes that occur behind closed doors. How these and other mechanisms work should be a matter of public interest. As such, the tech oligarchy has accomplished something unprecedented in both US and global history. It's made the government dependent on its infrastructure while retaining control over the information systems that drive public discourse. This creates a form of regulatory capture where government agencies are unwilling to challenge the firms that provide the essential services that are the current foundation of those very government agencies. So these government agencies are virtually incompetent without private entities. Tech titans are also masters of strategic timing for political interventions. When antitrust legislation threatens their interests, they organize responses through industry associations, promote supportive studies from funded think tanks, and mobilize user bases using platform messaging to turn the situation in their favor. They've politicized their user bases into political groups that can be mobilized to lobby legislators on selected issues. When 6 individuals can collectively influence elections, define public discourse, and intimidate government policy through economic coercion, America has effectively created an aristocracy that is outside of constitutional checks and balances. They are a state above the state. Unlike elected officials who are often held accountable in elections, these tech masters must answer only to their egos and shareholders. Their impact on freedom of speech and access to information has been profound and largely unnoticed by most citizens of the United States and the world at large. These corporations now decide what counts as adequate political discourse for billions of individuals, but they make their decisions behind closed doors without any democratic or judicial oversight. Economic inequality has increased to the point where it threatens social stability as tech oligarchs accumulate wealth faster than entire nations can generate GDP. Their influence extends beyond funding political campaigns, but they also heavily leverage the information space at critical democratic moments. When social media algorithms determine what political content goes viral, when search engines control what voters watch and shape their opinions, and when platform policies decide which candidates can reach their followers, tech oligarchs have placed themselves at the center of the mechanisms of democratic elections. The terminal phase of our disease can practically be found in a single, now iconic book. 1984. We are aware that something similar awaits us in the future if we do not already live in a similar world, only on a much more refined and subtler level.